Hey friends, welcome back, and thanks for joining us for episode 4 of the AjayiEffect podcast, where you are reminded that you are never alone on this journey called life. You can show up as yourself. Your journey is honored, your struggles acknowledged, and your victories are celebrated here. Oh, and if it is happening in the world, we will discuss it. Here, you are capable of big things. We're going to get into our conversation in a few, but first, a toast to our sponsor, Dupé Ajay. That's me. Dupé's professional journey embodies the power of change through marketing. It's driven by a steadfast commitment to equity. With roles at organizations such as Airbnb.org, ABC News, and Rent the Runway, she's honed her skills as a storyteller and marketer. Each experience has contributed to her expertise in crafting stories that inspire change. If equity isn't at the core, she won't be. Follow Dupé here at the AjayiEffect podcast and at the AjayiEffect on all platforms. Okay, let's get into it. Amanda Seales is a talented actress, comedian, and activist. She's best known for her role on the hit show Insecure and for being a host on the talk show The Real. She is also a truth teller. Amanda's gained both praise and criticism for her outspokenness and authenticity. While some, and I am included in the some, admire her boldness in addressing social issues, others find her to be, quote, confrontational and, quote, abrasive. Y'all, I'm rarely on Instagram. So when Amanda was being attacked for saying how she felt for not being acknowledged, I missed that. But sure as the sun rises, I was all caught up before the close of the next business day. I know that many of you came across Amanda's Instagram reel from around mid-March of 2024, where she expressed gratitude to her fans for their unwavering support. She also called out several prominent Black media outlets and award shows for their lack of inclusion. Interestingly, one of these outlets responded to her reel, acknowledging her concerns, and they said that they would do better. I don't know what was in the water, but shortly after, 3 Black media outlets, including the one that apologized, Essence Magazine, published op-eds attempting to justify why she was being mistreated. The Root questioned whether or not Seales herself might be the issue, stating, quote, if everyone says the same thing about Amanda Seales, could she be the problem, end quote. Then the Griot took a similar stance, asserting, quote, Amanda Seales is not the victim of anything but her own hubris, end quote. And Essence once more, contributing to the narrative in an op-ed titled, It's Time to Admit That Being Liked is More Important Than Being Good at Your Job, end quote. Nasty, nasty work, y'all. Luckily, Amanda had many people in her corner defending her, notably journalist and friend Mark Lamont Hill. Mark uploaded a 20-minute video to his YouTube channel addressing the criticism aimed at Amanda and offered a different perspective on the narrative. He suggested that her willingness to speak out on topics may contribute to her being the easy target for criticism. Here's what Mark had to say.
The undermining of her legitimacy is not just a singular act of immaturity and pettiness and meanness and misogynoir, although it's all of those things. It's also an attack on us, but unfortunately, as is so often the case, we will cut our nose to spite our face. We come for Black women so hard, we disrespect Black women so much, even if it means ultimately hurting ourselves. And that seems to be what's happening here.
So, Amanda has always been misunderstood. As well, Amanda is neurodivergent. Neurodivergence is a non-medical term that describes people whose brains develop or work differently. This means the person has different strengths and struggles from people whose brains develop or work more, quote, typically. While some people who are neurodivergent have medical conditions, it also occurs for people where a medical diagnosis hasn't been identified. And this isn't rare, especially when it comes to Black women. In fact, many Black women aren't diagnosed until later in life. Neurodivergent people are often misunderstood in social situations. Why? Well, one of the main reasons is there is a what they call double empathy challenge at hand. This asserts that we are most likely to understand individuals of our own neurotype. Neurodivergent people don't struggle with social cues. They struggle with reading neurotypical social cues. Similarly, neurotypical people often lack an understanding of neurodivergent social cues, maybe even to a greater extent. Amanda spoke more about this on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay podcast. Take a listen.
I'm a very, very emotionally intelligent person. And so a lot of times I end up having to do the emotional labor for other people to get us through.
Right.
It's exhausting. I started going to therapy because I was like, people keep telling me that no one likes me. And I do not understand. I remember her asking me, well, what are the reasons why people say they don't like you? And I told her, I said, my tone, they feel that I'm too detail-oriented, like it's annoying. They take it as nitpicky.
Right.
That I am too demanding, whereas it's more so just me holding you accountable. They say that I am mean, but in my version of it, it's like, well, no, I'm just being honest. And so we started working on me being better at understanding the neurotypical, like the normal way that things are read, so that I could better protect myself. This is how Amanda works. She needs information. That's what she needs.
Lots of it.
She just needs the information. And once she has the information, she's fine.
Right.
So let's just give her that. It doesn't take anything away from us. But some people feel like giving information is like some power struggle type shit.
Scary enough, at damn near the same time that Amanda was going through everything, sports analyst Emmanuel Acho was getting his wig tugged for his trash analysis of then 21-year-old LSU basketball player Angel Reese. Despite her undeniable talent and achievements on the court, Angel has faced scrutiny from both fans and critics alike. In a press conference after the defeat of the LSU women's basketball team in the NCAA Elite Eight tournament, Reese shared a heartbreaking account of being attacked, receiving death threats, and being sexualized. Following that press conference on a Fox Sports show called Speak, Emmanuel discussed his thoughts on Reese after proclaiming he was going to give a what he called gender-neutral, racially indifferent take. He proceeded to explain, quote, "You can't be the big bad wolf and then cry like Courage the Cowardly Dog." He went on to say that because Angel is a self-proclaimed villain, she didn't have the right to ask for sympathy because she had played that role. After he was dragged, he went on to apologize weekly for his behavior. Again, y'all, nasty work. Luckily, Angel had many people who were taking a stand to defend her. On the Higher Learning podcast with Van Lathan and Rachel Lindsay, Rachel shared her thoughts on Emmanuel's statements, indicating that he has a pattern of disrespecting Black people, in particular Black women. Take a listen.
His analysis is ineffective because, as multiple people have already pointed out, you can't talk about Black women and have a gender neutral and racially indifferent take. You don't get to preface your analysis by stating that Black women are historically the most disrespected people in this country or marginalized people in this country, and then proceed to disrespect Black women in your take. It's like you're proving the original point. You don't get to quote Malcolm X and then show that you have this lack of understanding of how Black women have to navigate this world. It really was infuriating to me to see it.
So y'all, what is all of this really about? You may have heard that to help you be more likable in conversation, mirror the other person's body language. Ask lots of questions, pay attention, use first names. Ask people if they need a favor to be executed on. Be extroverted. Some of these are just common sense, but others seem a little silly in their obviousness, and not all are grounded in science. Regardless, it's clear that being liked is core to some of our central fears. We want to feel like we belong and are accepted. But likability is hardly an objective thing. It's a vague idea at best, and it's in the thick of all sorts of gender, racialized, and political connotations in a society that isn't equitable. Likability is a trait that we demand of some, mainly women and people of color and neurodivergent people, more than others. And we are seeing that in the case of Amanda and Angel and a slew of others. There is no grace, and the effort to meet those expectations of likability can often be unfruitful, and they are exhausting. So let's go back a bit. What is likability? By definition, being likable means having qualities that make you a pleasant and largely agreeable person. Humor, self-awareness, and conscientiousness when interacting with others are also related. So many different qualities like warmth, approachability, popularity, extroversion, trustworthiness. They seem related to likability, and they're studied in similar ways, but specifically isolating what it means to be likable, well, that's difficult. Being seen as unlikable can have huge repercussions. As psychology professor and author Mitchell Prinstein writes in his 1970s book, Popular, The Power of Likability in a Status-Obsessed World. Yes, y'all, they were talking about that in 1970. Look at this. Likability and popularity affect our careers, our success in meeting our goals, our success in personal and professional relationships, and ultimately our happiness. Society demands likability from some people more than others. Who do you think is the some people versus the more than others? Well, research in this area is typically centered on business and politics, but evidence shows that when a woman succeeds in male-dominated spaces, they are liked less, and this dislike can taint assessments such as job evaluations. Nobody cares if a white man is likable. However, let's use the example of a woman running for political office. People will judge her levels of warmth, compassion, and kindness, how she presents. These are qualities that we associate with women in our society. If that same woman displays typically, quote, masculine traits associated with desirable political candidates, like strong leadership and directness, many would consider this to be at odds with warmth and kindness. And we don't like that. Women who aren't warm and caring, well, they have no place. We can change how we act, sure, but we don't have control over how others might perceive us. This means that the pursuit of being liked can come at the high price of contorting our behavior in a way that doesn't feel true to our natural selves. Chronically putting up a facade can also contribute to emotional exhaustion, burnout, depression. We saw this in Amanda's case in her exasperated response to being bullied for about a month straight, and in Angel's breakdown. Sadly, misogynoir wouldn't even allow them the chance to respond at all to being abused. Again, nasty, nasty work. I once told someone that I'm like Sambuca. I'm not for everybody. That same person retorted, I hate Sambuca. We no longer speak. My friends, I want you to strive for authenticity. Notice when you are being a different version of yourself, when you find yourself faking who you are to fit in. You shouldn't be afraid to laugh in front of people or have a point of view. And if you are being attacked for being who you are, get out, get away. Life is too short, and you shouldn't have to twist yourself into a pretzel to be accepted. No, ma'am. People who are hell-bent on disliking you, they won't change no matter what you do. They will always move the goalposts. They might not even want to hear your side of things, because if they do, then there's a chance that their ugly perception of you is going to be destroyed. You simply don't have time for the nonsense. My message to those who are quick to ostracize or judge folks that they don't understand and default to not liking, which is truly a mask of fear and envy, in my opinion, well, I'm here to tell them that rather than invalidating people's experiences, perhaps you should recognize and appreciate that everyone has different ways of moving through this life, period. How about we extend compassion and get rid of assumptions? Ooh, y'all. I had a little fire in me for that one today, but I do want to thank you for joining me. Y'all, remember this. You are never truly alone, and there are always opportunities to build meaningful connections with people that get you, with people who will adore you just as you are today, right now. Please share what you heard with 2 of your girlies or guyies or whoever and help grow this community. And again, be sure to follow the AjayiEffect on all platforms. This episode was produced and edited by the one and only Dupe O, Ajay. Till next time, remember, you are capable of big things.